I'm sorry. I have to jump in here. Somebody criticizing you personally is not an anti-Semitic attack. If somebody says that you are lying, that is not an attack on Jews, that is an attack on you. And just stop hiding behind identity. This is all the snowflake behavior that the right is supposedly criticizing the left for, that you're simply repeating here. Yes, Stephen Miller is a destructive force in American society. That is not an attack on Jews. That is no reference to his identity. This is an attack on him individually, and just deal with the merits of this case.
Piers Morgan, a show where reasonable conversation is incidental and shouting matches are the staple, sometimes produces memorable moments like this. So Piers Morgan had Stephen Miller's wife and Cenk Uygur on a show, and Stephen Miller's wife proceeded to call for the deportation of Cenk Uygur, an American citizen. But before that, she did the standard thing which all Zionists do by default: call Cenk an anti-Semite. Watch.
Why is it that every time someone wants to criticize Mamdani, it immediately comes back to the Jews and the anti-Israel movement instead of actually talking about his viewpoints, which is that he
nobody
wants to
said
make
Jews. You just said it. You always do that. We say Israel, you say Jews. We say Israel is a government. Please don't make it about Jewish Americans. And you come back and go, you have to make it about Jewish Americans. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?
Is Israel a Jewish state? Yes or no?
She really thought she cooked with that response of, is Israel a Jewish state? Of course, Israel is a Jewish supremacist ethno-nationalist state, but not all Jews are Israeli. It's like saying criticism of Saudi Arabia, an Arab state, is an attack on Arabs. Bloody insane. Zionists claim all Jews for Israel and then act surprised and scream anti-Semitism when Jews are held responsible for the actions of Israel. You're the one who made that association. Any blaming of Jews for the actions of Israel is simply following your twisted logic. Taking away the agency of Jewish people and forcing all of them to identify with Israel is anti-Semitic. Stephen Miller's wife is the anti-Semite here.
Yeah. First of all, okay, so Saudi Arabia is a Muslim state, and you can criticize it all day long, there's no special protection
because
for
what you're doing is you're decoding language
that
to
calls
mock
themselves
American
a Jewish state or a
and to
Muslim
say that
state.
we should not be here and we should not be in existence, and that you would be happy for other people like Mamdani to use
I want Israel to be safe.
Nothing of the sort.
Nonsense. You're totally lying. It's very normal for a Miller to be completely and utterly lying.
Quite frankly, I'm really sick and tired of this racist, bigoted rhetoric that comes from people like you against my husband, against my family, and my children. I am raising Jewish children in this country.
Who brought your children into this? What a weirdo.
Piers, I'm going to be done with this if you're going to allow racist and bigoted attacks against one of your commentators just for the sake that he will not.
No, hang on. Casey, to be clear. Casey, to be clear.
He inserted a line that says the Miller's lie. Is that not coded language for therefore we are Jewish?
What?
Come on, Piers. Where are you?
What?
Where are you standing?
God, you're so
Casey,
pathetic.
if I can speak.
Everything's your shield.
If I can speak, listen.
Fire him, cancel him, cancel him, America. Oh my God, Israel's feelings have been hurt. Why don't you work for this country?
Can we try and get
this country?
She's so insufferable. Notice how she's trying to blackmail Piers Morgan into stepping in. These people are horrible, and by these people I mean Zionists. They are manipulative, soulless ghouls. This is the sort of disgusting behavior woke leftists were ridiculed for years ago. Zionists have distilled it to perfection. Notice that they never say you're wrong or that you're lying. They go straight to calling you an anti-Semite. I didn't even know Stephen Miller is Jewish. They put their Jewish identity in your face, but then you're not supposed to say anything about the same identity they are obsessed with.
Yeah, you are a guest on my show, and I appreciate you coming on the show, and I like you coming on the show.
And I'm saying that two other guests on your show are welcome to participate in these anti-Semitic attacks that is so permeating on CNN and MSNBC.
This is so ridiculous. I'm sorry. I have to jump in here. Somebody criticizing you personally is not an anti-Semitic attack. If somebody says that you are lying, that is not an attack on Jews, that is an attack on you. And just stop hiding behind identity. This is all the snowflake behavior that the right is supposedly criticizing the left for, that you're simply repeating here. Yes, Stephen Miller is a destructive force in American society. That is not an attack on Jews. That is no reference to his identity. This is an attack on him individually, and just deal with the merits of this case.
After that shit first, another Zionist shield, a US Congressman Randy Fine, comes on and calls Cenk a barbarian invader.
You said yesterday that Cenk Uygur, one of our panelists today, is an invader. What did you mean by that?
I think it's a great example. I actually talked in that post about Mandami. I talked about Ilhan Omar. I talked about the gentleman you recognize. These are all wealthy foreigners who move to the United States and then constantly talk about how bad it is. He made a post saying I should be deported to Israel, that I have dual loyalty. My family's from America. I was born here. My parents were born here. Most of my grandparents were born here. My relatives that came here over 100 years ago came because they were desperate to be part of the greatest country in the history of the world. They did not come and then go on constantly about how bad it is and about how terrible it is and about how things need to change. Folks want to come to America. They should love it. They should share its values, and they should want to add value immediately. People who are coming do not share those values, and I believe it is a threat. The barbarians are no longer at the gate. They are now inside.
When Piers brings back Cenk, he did not hold back. He went off on Randy Fine.
Wow. So you're calling Cenk Uygur a barbarian? Well, given he's here, let me bring him into this. Cenk, what is your response to that?
Yeah, no, I don't mind, because I agree that there are barbarians inside the gate, and that's Randy Fine. Randy Fine is a sick terrorist sympathizer. In fact, if he wants America to do terrorism on Israel's behalf, he has said we should nuke Gaza. That's killing millions of innocent children and human beings and civilians. But he doesn't care. He only cares about Israeli lives. By the way, the Israelis have murdered now nearly a dozen Americans in the West Bank. No accountability from our government. And people like Randy Fine say we owe Israel. We owe Israel a genocide. We owe Israel $300 billion. We owe them no accountability at all when they kill American citizens. They had a pervert Israeli government official that came here in Vegas and tried to rape our children, and we let him go? That's insane. Randy Fine, are you asking for the sick Israeli government to return the pedophile so he could face justice here? No, Randy Fine represents Israel, not America. Everybody knows that. He also said we should starve all the Gazans. So he's right. There's a sickness inside our government. AIPAC and the Israeli lobby have given to 90% of Congress. They've given him $500,000, and that was a giant waste because he works for Israel already. So, Randy, we're all sick of your terrorist sympathies towards Israel. They have committed 75 October 7th. Their civilian kill ratio is 83%, worse than Hamas, worse than any terrorist organization. They have murdered 256 journalists, more than all other conflicts combined. They murdered 104 people today, including 46 children. They burned them alive. And we're sick of Israeli terrorism, and we're sick of people like you forcing good Americans. I love this country. I didn't come here to be a occupied territory of Israel. I came here because I love America and the freedom and the equality and the justice that comes with it. If you think your grandparents who came here were not loyal to America, that's your business. But no, most of the people that come here come because we absolutely love this country and not Israel. Why don't you go to the Knesset, brother? Everybody knows you love Israel and you despise Palestinians and you love Israeli terrorism. Why don't you move to Tel Aviv already?
I'm not the biggest fan of Cenk Uygur, but you've got to admit that he cooked here. Only Jews in America get to advocate for a foreign country and see that as a right. Cenk is Turkish. You don't see him advocating for Turkey. There are other nationalities in the US. You don't see the same level of advocacy as you find with Israel. So what's so special about Israel? These Zionists claim that Israel is the only country that can guarantee the safety of Jews while living in the US. That's either an indictment on the US or an insult.